Hi there, welcome back to Tired Format. I'm Jason, and today I intend to invoke some violence in my comment section from lots of Land Rover people. That's right, I'm driving the 2021 Land Rover Defender. So, the reason this car is so controversial, let's get straight to that, shall we? It says Defender on it, and we sort of know what that normally means, or what it meant before this at least, was a rugged farm vehicle that you could allow sheep to give birth inside and hose out and throw your kids in it the next day and take them to school in massive discomfort and with no seatbelts in the boot. However, the new one has gone up market, which means, is it still a Defender? Well, I have a theory. I don't think it's a spiritual successor to a Defender. Probably not. That's fine. I think, you know, you're looking at the market, Land Rover have been very, very sensible to do that. And you look at how many people want these, they've definitely been very successful in doing that. However, I have a theory. I think it's more of a spiritual successor to my car, the L322. Bear with me on this one. The L322, what was that, around 60, 70, 80,000 pounds. This car, being a hybrid and fully specced up, is near there. And then you look at the size of it, it's sort of a similar size. It's got sort of the chunky, rugged features. You know, that L322 has the big buttons inside that you can use with gloves on and things like that, whereas the later Range Rovers got huge and became £100,000 items. So perhaps this then will more appeal to people who still love the 322 and don't want to go for the new Range Rovers, but still want a Land Rover product. So let's have a little walk around and see some of the features, shall we, and talk it over a little bit. I'll do my best anyway. I'm not Richard Hammond or Harry's Garage or any of the others. Right then, you'll note that this car is very dirty, and just wait till we get to the inside, because this is actually my friend's car. He's lending it to me for a little while just to do some filming on it while he's gone off in his 322. So yeah, that's what I mean. This car is appealing to us who like something with a Land Rover badge that still has a bit of ruggedness, but comfortable and luxurious at the same time. So the rear end styling then, well, it's a bit odd, isn't it, with this sharp edge on it, but that's to try and hark back to the previous Defender. That shark fin on the top, I don't know if you can see it, but that is the rear view camera, believe it or not, because if you look in the rear view mirror, it's actually a TV screen, not a camera. Back end of this is a big, he says, open-y door. It goes all the way out. It's actually really easy to open and shut. I think the gas strap pushes it all the way out for you. One thing I have noticed is actually the width here isn't amazing. It feels quite narrow, and because this is a hybrid, you've got a little step here, which loses a little bit of boot space, but if you want a hybrid, then that's the thing. Another thing this car has that I like is it's got air suspension controls in the back, so you can lower and raise the suspension in order to get heavy things in, which is quite good. Do you want a bit of a tedious fact about this door? Yeah, of course you do. So, rear lights. You're meant to have both rear lights visible when the car has the boot open. However, to get around this, they've put a little information label here that says that you have to put the warning triangle out if the boot's open, because when the spare wheel's on it, you can't see the lights. It's almost like it was an afterthought, isn't it? And the boot doesn't open that far, which I think is something to do with that as well. Anyway, moving on. Can't fully remember the name of this colour right now, but I'm sure I'll flash it up on the screen somewhere. Couldn't talk about a Defender without these. This one doesn't have the box on. Kind of glad it doesn't. It's a bit weird. I'm not sure what that was about. Trying to be rugged and cool. And it looks just a bit weird. I don't even know what you put in there. Sandwiches? Drugs? Small rodents? I don't know what they were for. But I do think it looks good. It's grown on me a lot, actually. When they first sort of released it and announced it, I was like, yeah, it's interesting, but what's going on with the lights and blah, 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 blah. But now I think it looks good. And particularly this one looks good because it's dirty and has big mud flaps on. We like flaps. Well, on these we do. This one goes out to all the people online who said that these weren't rugged enough, you wouldn't use them, you couldn't use them, they're too pretty. This one's being used, isn't it? Look, this is all plastic, which does feel a little bit cheap, but it is kind of rugged, so they get away with it. I quite like the exposed bolts on here. I know it's probably a styling thing, but that's probably practical as well. Later down in the years, it's really easy to pop these panels off and replace them. It does have all the mod cons. You've got the electric everything and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you've still got this sort of plasticky, you know, good for dirt interior. Nice entry point as well, easy to get in and out of, you know, all that boring stuff. Right, I'm inside the car now. I'm glad I am, because it's effing cold out there. As I say, this is well used, family vehicle, you know, children detritus everywhere, muddy, dogs, everything. So this is being used properly. So anyone out there who says it's too posh and all that rubbish, no, I think you can still use these as a proper car, as my friend is proving. This one has the little jump seat in the middle, which is kind of cool. Green leather as well, which I think is quite nice. That's that rear view camera I was talking about, which is quite amusing for reversing and stuff. All the controls down here look really nice. To be honest with you, everything here has got a good size sort of pressy button on it. That is what you want in a car like this. You don't want these little touch screens everywhere and things. As I say, this one's the hybrid, so when I get out on the road, I'll be really interested to see how that performs, what it works like and things like that. So yeah, let's take it for a drive, shall we? Let's go try not to crash it. Right then, first time in the car. Driving position's really nice actually. I like that a lot. Haven't heard the engine yet, so I'll be interested to see whenever that kicks in. It has got a lot of tech in here actually. There's a really good little camera down here I like, that when you're driving at low speed and things like that, it will show you up a little image of your car in 3 dimensions and everything. And it's got things like an off-road mode, where you've got cameras on the mirrors in the front. And then there's a towing one, which is genius, because it gives you a little line on how to line up a tow vehicle or whatever. Trailer, Jesus Christ. The engine hasn't kicked in yet. I'm doing about 15 miles an hour. It did flash up a minute ago saying I got about 20-30 miles of range on an EV only, which is quite impressive actually. How do I turn this camera off? So obviously I came up here in the Range Rover, so I sort of know this little path well, and I can sort of give a good comparison between the two in terms of ride quality and how they feel. This immediately does feel stiffer. Not harsh, not hard, not uncomfortable. It's still a very comfortable car, but it is stiffer. I haven't really played around with this stuff here yet. Don't really want to touch it. I just want to leave it in whatever mode it's in and drive it really. So what it's actually showing me here is there's a rev limiter, which is sat at 0 obviously, but it's also got a little EV meter, which I assume is the RPM of that motor. And I'm still in EV, which is quite nice actually. It's quite nice actually. Yeah, I'm actually really impressed so far. Like, I've just driven 100 yards or whatever, but the fact that this thing creeps along in full EV mode and is so quiet. You do have a little noise coming out because legally you have to have a noise at low speed to warn pedestrians and things not to step out in front of you, but yeah, this is very good, isn't it? I have to say the seat is really comfortable in this. It's not like particularly padded, but it's really well, like the bolsters are perfect for my body. I don't know if you can adjust them, so if you're a bit wider than me, then I'm sorry, you might struggle, but it's also got really good lumbar support, which for my back is really good. As I say, this is quite a high spec vehicle, so I've got the full leather, and I've got leather on the dashboard. You've got the jump seat here, which is leather. You can pull the jump seat down and have it as like a big armrest thing. This has got the big pano sunroof, so it's a very luxury orientated car now, but it's still kept a lot of that charm that we like in Land Rover, where they have the rugged edge on it. Particularly in this car, I really like the sort of exposed bolts, you know, big, easy to use buttons and things like that. Although there is a touch screen, I'm pretty sure all the big things you can control using buttons as well, which is genius because there's so many cars out there that don't. I'm looking at you, Volkswagen. So yeah, whilst it is a bit harder than the 322, it's a bit more jiggly. It is very comfortable, I'll give it that. And you know, most people with a modern SUV, they buy them for comfort. Most of them are idiots, because if you're getting something like an X5 and then getting a 5 Series, you'll notice the 5 Series is more comfortable. So engine's on now. It's very quiet, very quiet. actually. The only thing I can hear is the dog guard, which has got a very slight rattle, but it's so minuscule. Do like a good indicator tick, don't we? Yes, we do. Oh yeah, more than quick enough. Not even going to put my foot down. It's not a car to rag around. It's a car to just, same with the 322. If you're buying that thing to brag, don't know why you're doing it. Immediately I noticed this is a lot better in the corners than the 322. It's not what this car's about. Like I say, it's plenty fast enough, but it is quite nice feeling a bit more stable going into the corners. I do wonder if the reason it's jiggly more is because of that. And obviously this doesn't have the separate chassis like the Defender had. It's definitely more friendly on the roads, but it still has that off-road sort of prowess that you can use. I have to say, I'm finding the rear view screen, as it were, not a mirror, it's a camera with a screen, a little bit weird to get used to. My eyes sort of take a second to focus on it when I look up, which is fine, I guess, but yeah, maybe you do get used to it. With a mirror, you can just glance, but with this, I sort of have to look for a second. Maybe it's just me. I think there is a way of turning that off and making it just a mirror, though, but in this car with the jump seat and the dog guard, it's much better to have the mirror, because you can actually, the camera, sorry, because you can actually see what's going on. And there's a Mazda up my arse, even though I am already doing over the, I mean, I'm doing the speed limit. Oh, it's such a miserable old fart as well to be stuck up my arse in your pathetic vehicle. Sounds alright, it's a 4-pot, it doesn't sound like the V8 obviously, but it gets up to speed really well, being a turbo, and I imagine the battery helps. Coming down this hill, it's doing a little bit of regen on the battery, but you can't feel it, because obviously it's not a full EV. I wonder if you can change that actually. I know there's a lot of people who will be against EVs and hybrids and things like that, but I think in a car this size it actually makes a lot of sense. Having the little 4-cylinder turbo, and then, well, not little, but you know what I mean, 4-cylinder turbo with a hybrid, it makes so much more sense. And if you're getting this car, you know, as a company vehicle, obviously you get massive tax incentives to do so as well. So I reckon they're going to sell a lot of these to business. So right now I'm doing 60 and it's just cruising on EV. He's got a Series 3 Land Rover as well. I was going to do a little back-to-back, but it's just pointless. They're just so far apart. They're complete polar opposites now. And I know a lot of people are upset by that, but really, can you build a car like that anymore? And if you can, would you be able to sell it? Land Rover is now a premium brand. It can't really sell those. Reality is, if you're a farmer who wants a work vehicle and you're spending a lot, you know, you don't want to spend a lot of money, you're probably getting something like an Isuzu pickup or something like that. There's still commercial vehicles out there for you, is what I'm saying. And there's a commercial version of this, but if you live on a farm and want a car that does everything, you used to buy a Range Rover. Are they a bit too nice now? Do you buy something like this? I think you should. I think you would. I think you would. You'd certainly give it a go, wouldn't you? And you can get it with cloth seats as well and all these other stuff. This is a very luxuriously spec'd one because it's a family car. Or at least, you know, he wants to be able to drive it and not be in complete discomfort. I think too many people out there sort of have this vision of a Land Rover interior just being bare metal, cow feces, and, you know, a lot of these Defender fanatics are one step away from wanting them to be steam powered or something. I think this is a good time to do a summary because I don't really want to stand outside in the cold again doing one like I did earlier with the intro. Okay, so likes. Well, I like the way it looks now. It took me a while. There's still some styling cues on there I'm not entirely sure about, but especially in this colour, I think it looks fantastic. Interior, I really like this interior. I think it's a good mix of sort of luxury and ruggedness. There are some sort of cheap plastics here. You kind of have to let them off because if you want the rugged, you get the cheap plastics. And you can spec these how you want, which I quite like. The configurator line's really fun. Dislikes, well, it's a big, massive brand new SUV. I don't think they're really necessary anymore, are they? I think if you're going to get one, buy an old one. I don't see why you'd go for the V8. There's absolutely no point, is there? Unless you're a bit of a tit. The hybrid is just that good. I genuinely love this drivetrain. short little drive that I've taken this on, it's a really nice drivetrain. It's really smooth. You don't even notice when the engine's coming on. You have to really gun it to even hear the engine. And a lot of the time you're just tooling about in electric, which, you know, Greta will be pleased with you, won't she? To summarise, I actually do really like this. There's a lot of things to like in this. I think the interior is very well judged between luxury and ruggedness. I think the tech in here is very well judged as well. It's all very practical sort of stuff. Given what you're getting, I think the price point is correct. I can't really think of anything else, this price point, that combines the luxury and sort of usefulness as this. A lot of cars at this price point have gone very chintzy and a bit posh. And a lot of people think this has, but I think you should go look at one, and maybe look at one like this that's dirty and being used like it should. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope the audio is all good, and I hope that you're still liking the videos and subscribing. Let me know in the comments. It'd be really helpful for me if you could share me about, get more subscribers on board, because looking at the analytics, there's a bit of a cliff now of people liking and subscribing. Have I done something wrong, or is the big bad algorithm just out to get me? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.